So let's talk about it. Let's talk about Europa League football for the remainder of this season. So to give some context first, we are currently in the last 16 stage of the tournament, and we've actually been through the first leg already. So we're just waiting for the second legs now. And yeah, it's really exciting times because there's a lot of games that are still up in the air. Barcelona v Napoli, for example, went to 1-1 draw. Leipzig v Real Sociedad, really good game, 2-2. So there's a lot of uncertainty still. Even some of the games where there were winners, a lot of them were actually very tight games. But yeah, I'll go into that in a minute or in a second. But the first thing I have to mention is where the Europa League final will be held and the exact date. So first of all, the date of the final will be on the 18th of May. So roughly, the same as usual. It's always going to be around middle of May, ending of May. Apart from obviously in a COVID era where I think the final was played in July or something like that, or even August. I can't remember exactly. But normally, we expect it to be in the middle of May, ending of May, around that time, just before the Champions League final as well. And yeah, where will it be held? So this year is actually going to be held at the home of the Kings of Europa League, in my opinion, which is Sevilla. So Sevilla's home ground will be hosting the Europa League final, which in my opinion is actually very significant because Sevilla just without even the home, without playing in the final at home, they already a force without that motivation, without the motivation of, okay, let's get to a final because we're at home. Normally they win this trophy anyway. They've won it 6 times, winning it recently as well against the Inter side that a lot of people, fancied Inter to win, with Hakimi, Lukaku, Antonio Conte being the manager as well. So they're very, very good in this tournament. They've got the know-how, they've got the experience. They've got a lot of the same players that were there for when they won it in against Inter recently. Apart from obviously Luke De Jong, who was great that night as well for them. But they've still got big characters in their squad. They've still got Julian Lopetegui, who I think is a top manager. And so with all of that said, I actually put Sevilla as my favourites to win the Europa League. I know there's probably people are gonna probably argue that there's better sides. For example, Dortmund, for example, Barcelona, Napoli. But I think Sevilla are solid, very underrated team. Very good manager, very well drilled team, a team of hardworking players, and if you watch them in the Liga as well, they're right up there. Real Madrid's closest competitors are Sevilla. If I'm not mistaken, they're 4 points behind the top as well, behind the strong Real Madrid team who have been really good. So Sevilla are really pushing. I actually think they have a really good chance of actually going on to win the La Liga this season. Which I know they're underdogs. Madrid are going to be favourites, but they definitely they got close last season as well. In what happened to be a free horse race with Atletico winning it. Real Madrid were there and there as well near it, and Sevilla, they just about missed out on it. I think they really slipped up in the last few games, but they're looking strong again this season. Again, they kept the good players like Koundé, who was linked with Chelsea. So yeah, I really do fancy Sevilla to win it. I would honestly put them down as my favourites. Like I said, normally in a normal season, they're strong in the Europa League anyway. But now that they've got that motivation of, the finals at their home ground, we saw what that did for Bayern Munich in 2012 when the final was, at their home ground. Although they didn't win it, but they got themselves into a final. Maybe it could all be, hindsight's beautiful, but maybe it was due to the fact that that final was held at home. So maybe they had that motivation to just do that little bit more to get there. But who knows? Maybe not. At the end of the day, they're professional athletes, so they'll work hard anyway. But yeah, with everything said, I think Sevilla are my favourites to win the Europa League, and I really do like Sevilla as well. So yeah, so that's my favourites. How did Sevilla go in the last 16? They started very well. With a 3-1 win against Dinamo Zagreb. Martial scoring his first Sevilla goal, and just doing really well. Sevilla are good form, like I said. So yeah, they're gonna be looking to finish the job off in Croatia, going to Zagreb away, and they got the 2-goal margin. If I know in the Champions League the away goal rule does not apply anymore this season anyway. I think the same applies for the Europa League. But with or without it, I would say Sevilla. I would again, they're my favorites to win it, so I would think they'll go through in this game as well. But yeah, so that's the Sevilla side of things. Next up, my second favorites to win it, and potentially if it was prior to the game, they probably gonna be my favorites to win it, despite everything I just said about Sevilla. But Dortmund, they're a strong team, and they've got top players in their squad. You name it. Erling Haaland, Jude Bellingham, who's one of my favorite midfielders to watch right now. Top player. They've got experienced players at the back like Hummels. They've got just a strong, Marco Reus, absolute legend of the game. Just top players in their squad. They got Guerrero at left back. They got more experience in midfield with Witsel. Top players, and then they got Marlon as well, who was up as a striker the other day. So yeah, I really did fancy Dortmund, but right now we're speaking at a point where they're 4-2 down on aggregate against Rangers. Van Bronckhorst Rangers. So yeah, it's looking hard for them now. But let's say if, for example, they were to come back and go through, which is still a possibility, because Dortmund is Dortmund. They're very unpredictable. Anything can happen with them. They can easily just turn up and just, go through. But they're going to have to work hard for it, because Rangers at the Ibrox, that's not going to be easy. And, they're going to do everything they can to just go through. And I think Van Bronckhorst is doing a top job as manager at Rangers now. And I personally, as a fellow Dutchman, would like to see him do well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see for the second leg of this game. I genuinely have no idea how it will go. Yeah, very unpredictable game. But I would say if Dortmund were to progress, which again, it's a big if, because we, like I said, 4-2 down on aggregate, and Rangers really played them off the park the other day. Let's be honest. I think if they do go through, like I said, it's a big if, then I would still put them right up there as probably my second favorites to win it. Alongside Sevilla. So that's my second favorites to win the competition. Yeah. So that's Dortmund for me. But again, it sounds funny right now because they're obviously behind in in aggregate. So they can easily get knocked out in the second leg, and I just look like an idiot right now. But let's see, anything can happen. But yeah, respect to Rangers for how they played the other night. Next up, my third favourites. It's a hard one for me because I don't know who to put third. I need to put four favourites between Barcelona and Napoli, who actually, funnily enough, played each other the other night. So whoever goes through in this tie, I would put them down as my third favourites to win it. Why? Because Barcelona, although yes, it's a Barcelona without Messi, it's not the Barcelona who have the star power as they did even a few seasons ago. With the likes of Neymar, Messi, Suarez up front and stuff like that. I know that, but Barcelona's Barcelona. They're gonna continue regardless. They're top club, and they're gonna continue to attract top players. To give you an example of that, they've just signed Aubameyang from Arsenal. He used to be a club captain at Arsenal, and did really well before the whole situation of Arteta happened. So Aubameyang's a top signing. That's he's a really good player. They got Ferran Torres, who I think is gonna be one of not just Barcelona, but one of Spain's most important players in the years to come. And they've got him at a very good, still with his peak to come. He's very young still. I think he's 21 only. So he's still very young and a lot to prove. But even like in the Nations League, if you saw the recent Nations League, he played really well. So really bright future ahead for him. They got some of my favorite players, again, as someone that watches Holland all the time, Frankie de Jong, Memphis Depay, absolute stars. I think they're gonna be a huge part again, not just for Barcelona, but top potential talents for the Memphis is already a bit more established than Frankie, but even Frankie, he's had his good moments already. But imagine what they can do for Holland in the years to come in the World Cup, for example, in Qatar's coming up, and in future Euros and more World Cups after that. So yeah, I say all of that to say they've still got, and of course I don't want to miss out on Adama Traore as well. Big signing, really quick player. and just someone that can make things happen, you know. And I'm missing out on many other players like Pedri, more experienced players like PK and Jordi Alba and Ter Stegen. But I, the conclusion is Barcelona will continue to be a top team, whether they're bankrupt or not, whether they're the same as before or not. Of course, before they were way better, let's be honest, because they were in the Champions League final. They won the final against Juventus, I think 2015 it was. Which, yeah, to be fair, it has been some time since then. But yeah, Barcelona, like, good team. They still have Ousmane Dembele in the books as well, so they could win it. But that's if they go through Napoli, because, like I said, for me, the winners of this tie are third favourites, and Napoli are very strong. This game went exactly how I predicted it, which is basically a draw, because I didn't know who to pick as winners for this game. And that's because, again, Barcelona, like I said, despite their struggles, they're still a top team. Napoli is a very good team as well. They're doing very well in the Serie A. At one point, it looked like the Serie A was a bit too much of a stretch for them for this season, because Inter looked like they were pulling away. AC Milan were there as well. But Napoli are kind of back in it now. They're there and thereabouts in the Serie A title race with a chance to realistically win it. Although I'll probably say Milan and Inter Milan are still my favourites for that competition. But the fact that they're up there fighting for that competition, and yeah, it's just Napoli is always strong, you know, with, again, absolute legends of the game like Dries Mertens. You know, I know Insigne is leaving soon, but he's still there for the moment. Koulibaly, and, you know, youngsters in the team as well, guys like Osimhen and Lozano. So I'm looking forward to the second leg. I think out of all of the games, this is going to be the most, alongside Leipzig and Sociedad game, this will probably be the most edge of your seat type of game, where you have no clue what will happen, and literally anything can happen. Either Barcelona can go through or Napoli will go through, and yeah, it will be surprising either way, because you expect one of these teams to go both teams to go further in the competition, but one of them has to go up. Similar to, you know, in the Champions League, where we got PSG and Madrid facing each other, and one of them has to go out this early in the competition, which is rare. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this game. But yeah, like I said, whoever does go through in this game is gonna be my third favourites to win it. So looking forward to watching the second leg. Then, so we move on to Leipzig v Sociedad. Again, very good game. I have to confess, I did not watch the game. I watched like little bits of it. But just from the names, Leipzig, Sociedad, you know, Leipzig, although this season they, to be fair, have been struggling in the Bundesliga, but they have been picking up form. You know, Nkunku's been really good this season. Andre Silva's been good this season. So they've got some good players in their ranks, and they're still, you know, they're still here in the Europa League. They came down from the Champions League, and they're playing against a good Sociedad team who have been really good, you know, recently in the last, you know, years, you know, with since the whole new adjustment to the stadium, you know, winning the cup as well against Bilbao, I think. So they're really in a good, confident mood. So this is again another one of those ones where literally anything can happen. But for Sociedad to go to Leipzig and get a draw, I think is big, and it could give them a very good opportunity to go through with their home crowd in San Sebastian. So I'm looking forward to this game. You know, guys like Isak, Januzaj, Mikel Merino is having a good season for Sociedad. I'm looking forward to seeing this and seeing it progresses. But this one again, this is actually going to be, whoever progresses from this game will be my fourth/fifth. Will be my fourth favourites to go to win the whole competition, behind Sevilla, Dortmund, and one of Barcelona or Napoli. So that's another big game. There's some really good teams in this competition, and I'm really excited to see the rest of the competition. So then, who else is left? Let's go to Zenit versus Real Betis. These are two teams that played each other. Betis went away to Zenit and won 3-2. And Betis, you know, like Sevilla, the final is going to be played in their home city, because Betis is in Seville. That's why they have that rivalry with Sevilla. Although it's not going to be exactly at their own home ground, it's going to be a motivation for them to win it at one of their rivals' home grounds, you know. So It's a bit similar to, like, if, for example, Argentina won the World Cup in Brazil, or something like that, you know. So for them, this is a big motivation for them. I would think, to go ahead and win it in, again, Sevilla Stadium. So that I think Betis will go far in this tournament. In La Liga as well, they've been really good, really good. Pellegrini's been doing a really good job there. You know, you got guys like Nabil Fekir up there. You got Bellerin, of course, coming from Arsenal, bringing some experience from the Premier League. So yeah, really good team. But I wouldn't write Zenit off neither, because Zenit is still, it's a good team. But anything can happen. I do have to say, I do fancy Betis, especially because they went away to Russia and got the victory. So I'm expecting them to go home, back to Seville in their own stadium, and get the job done and go to the next round. But football's football, and there's only one goal in this one, so anything can happen. Next up, we go to Sheriff. Actually, sorry, I'll leave that for later. I'll go to Porto and Lazio. Yeah, this is getting harder and harder for me to say, because, you know, Betis, normally I wouldn't put Betis as my favourites over Porto and Lazio, and even Atalanta as well. Atalanta, you know what, I'll go with that first. I think Atalanta are my favourites after Betis. So what is that? That's my fifth favourites to win it this season. And again, normally I would put them above Betis in terms of favourites to win it. But again, I know it sounds like nothing, but I do honestly think it makes a difference for these players that the finals being played in Seville. So for Betis, in their situation, is to win at their rivals' home ground, the whole Europa League, and to qualify for the Champions League like that as well. So I think that's why I put Betis above Atalanta to win it this season. But otherwise, Atalanta are impressing me a lot. I've been watching them for a few seasons now, and they continue to impress me with the style of play, with the results they keep picking up. You know, even like in the Champions League, they've made upsets. You know, they've knocked out Ajax, for example. Ajax are a top team. You know, you look at what Ajax do to big teams as well. But Atalanta managed to knock out that Ajax team in the group stages last season. Atalanta are just really good team, making life hard for big teams, you know, and in the Serie A as well. So yeah, Atalanta I'll definitely put up there as one of my favorites as well to win it. As I would put them in sixth, and I know it sounds funny because I keep saying one of my favorites about a lot of these teams. But that just shows how great this competition is. It's really unpredictable. Genuinely, like, you literally have no clue how it will pan out, you know. But yeah, I'll put Atalanta down as my sixth favourites to win the whole competition. And I say sixth, but if they do win it, it wouldn't surprise me. Which, again, like I said, it just shows how great this tournament is, and how many options there are, and how many possibilities there are for this competition. Yeah, so with that said, I do expect them to go through against Olympiacos. They're at the moment 2-1 up on aggregate. They were home in the first leg, but even when they go away, to be fair, they do score a lot of goals. So I do expect them to have the job done. But again, I wouldn't underestimate anyone in this competition. Football is football, especially European football. Anything can happen. I do have to say that because I don't want to look like an idiot. But I would still say I fancy Atalanta to go through to the next round. Okay, so like I said, that was my sixth favorite. Then I'll put the winner of the next game that I'm about to mention, which is Porto or Lazio, as my seventh favorites. Porto, really good team. If I'm not wrong, they beat AC Milan in the group stages. If I'm not wrong, at the San Siro, I think Diaz scored as well. Diaz is now at Liverpool. So yeah, Porto is a good team. Even in the Portuguese league, you know, they're always thereabouts in terms of winning it, or, you know, at least qualifying for Champions League, which they were in the Champions League this season. At the start of it, but coming down to the Europa League after finishing third. And yeah, like Porto, I would not underestimate. They got top players in the team. They got a manager who's really hungry, who I think has a very good future ahead of him. And also, just from watching Porto against Chelsea last season in the Champions League, in that Chelsea Champions League winning run, they actually beat Chelsea in the second leg, which went on the which went unnoticed because Chelsea went through anyway, and the goal was kind of irrelevant. Which for them it must have been sad because the goal was just beautiful. The goal they scored, to be fair. But to be fair, yeah, like they did put a good challenge. Even if you remember the game against Juventus last season, how tough they knocked out Juventus. You know, Pepe was doing a great job with Mbemba at the back. So yeah, Porto was a good team. And yeah, they beat Lazio 2-1. And I would say out of all of the ties that had the winner in it, this is the one that is still up in the air in my opinion, because Lazio have a top striker who I love watching in Ciro Immobile. Scores big goals, really top consistent striker in the Serie A. Doesn't stop scoring, and he's got good players around him as well. And Lazio score goals for fun. So I would not put it past Lazio to make a comeback. I think this is the one that is still up in the air. But let's see. Again, it's a lot of good games to look forward to. And yeah, whoever does win this one will be my 7 favorites to go ahead and win the competition. And yeah, so that's my thoughts on that. And last but not least, Sheriff against Braga, which went to 2-0 to Sheriff. Sheriff have been having a great European season. You know, they went away to Madrid and won. They went away to Madrid and won. Think about that. They had some good moments in the Champions League. Not quite enough to finish in the top 2, but you know, let's be honest, not many of us heard of them before this season. And to think they made it out of the group to the Europa League rather than just being out of Europe completely, which is probably what everyone expected before the ball got kicked this season in European football. The fact that they're still alive in European football, although it's Europa League, not Champions League, is impressive for them because of, again, what I just said. You know, not many of us knew them before the season started, and they went away to Madrid and won. So if they can do that, you know, they can beat most teams in European football, and that's what they've done to Braga. They won against Braga. But with that said, I wouldn't put this past Braga to come back and go through. But I don't know. It's looking, you know, 2-0. Maybe if Braga got a goal, it would have looked brighter for them. But I don't know. It looks like a tricky one. But I do have to say, whoever does go through, you know, despite like what I just said about Sheriff impressing me in European football in general, I don't see them winning the Europa League. You know, so that's just my honest thoughts on that. So yeah, that's my order. You know, so this is my order of who I think are my favorites. So number 1, I put Sevilla down as number 1 as my favorites to win the Europa League. Number 2, I put Dortmund, which I know it sounds funny because they're 2 goals behind on aggregate against Rangers, and to be fair, it could have been more. But I wouldn't put it past them because Dortmund are Dortmund, you know. So I would still, because of that, I would put them second. Third is the winner of Barcelona versus Napoli. That's my third favorite, is to win the Europa League. Fourth will be the winner out of Leipzig or Sociedad. Fifth will be Real Betis. Sixth will be Atalanta. Seventh will be the winner of Porto Lazio. And eighth will be, Sheriff or Braga, whoever comes out of that tie, which at the moment is looking like Sheriff, who are 2-0 up. So yeah, guys, that's really it. That's the video. Just wanted to preview the Europa League. I have to say, this season the Europa League is looking really exciting. More exciting than usual, I have to say personally. Because I went through some of the games that are about to happen, and it's a lot of unpredictability and a lot of uncertainty around it, which is exciting. And anything can happen, like I made the predictions and literally the complete opposite can happen, So yeah, let's look forward to these games. Let me know who you think will win it, who you want to see win it, what you think will be the final. So I'm looking forward to seeing the final and how it goes. You know what? I might as well just do this. I might as well make a prediction for who I think will be in the final. I'll go ahead and say, I don't know. You know what? I'm just gonna say this. I'm gonna say Sevilla v Real Betis final. I just have a feeling, being in Seville at the Ramon Sanchez Pizjuan, it just seems like maybe it can happen. Although I know football's not always about fairy tales, but Betis is having a good season. Sevilla's having a good season. They're doing really, really well in both domestic and European competition, as we're seeing. So Yeah, I'm just gonna say it. Sevilla v Betis final, which you might be thinking, well, you said Dortmund is your second so favorites to win it, so why are you doing it like that? But these teams have to face each other in the quarters and semis anyway. So yeah, so I'm gonna just say Sevilla Betis final is my prediction. Let me know what you think. Regardless, let's hope for an enjoyable rest of the tournament. Yeah, like I said, comment down what you think. Please feel free to like, share, subscribe if you want to see more of this type of content. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care, guys.